welcome to the session on expanding. No, wait, this is not our session. I think wrong session on top. Growing and managing a tech workforce across the continent. I think this is a pertinent question that we usually have in Africa. Most people know, most likely, if you've been in the continent, you have received a CV of someone to connect them to a job. But also, like, if you've had conversations with founders, there most likely been questions on how do I manage these people? So we have today a very great panel to actually help you discuss this question. So to just be clear, to see how the session will go, we have a couple of questions for the panel. And then afterwards, I'll open it up for Q&A. And then after that, closing remarks. So pretty simple, easy, some easy topics. So as mentioned, my name is Michelle Hassan. I work for JobTech Alliance, which is an ecosystem initiative approach that works with platforms in the job tech sector across Africa. One of our key target market is tech-enabled skilling, and that's one of the reasons why we were excited to be part of this panel. So I'd like to welcome my panelists. So maybe introduce yourself and what you're doing in this space.
Good afternoon. I hope you're enjoying Nairobi. My name is Paul Kimani. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Workpay, where we are building solutions to help companies with teams in Africa to manage and pay them. So we provide services like employer of record, so you don't have to have entities in countries that you have employees. We help you do that. And also, most importantly, we help you to pay them, stay compliant, and manage even their benefits. Good to be here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Ndimurukundo. I'm the managing director of Andela based in Rwanda. Andela is a talent marketplace where we connect brilliant minds with amazing opportunities globally. And really excited to be here, to be talking to each one of you. So if you're looking for developers, if you're looking for product managers and others, I'm your plug. We have a community of more than 4 million people globally, with more than 150,000 of those vetted already. So come and we chat. And if you enjoyed amazing coffee here in one of our 2 booths, raise your hand. Ah, nice. All right.
Hi, all. I'm Tyler Karahalios, Chief of Staff at Delta 40. And Delta 40 is a climate-focused venture studio and VC fund based here in Nairobi. We invest in founders building an ag, energy, mobility, and climate fintech, and then provide very bespoke hands-on support through shared C-level services across talent, fundraising and strategy, finance, and product development. And Mike, I'm going to need some of your developers for my portfolio companies. So excited about this.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Richard Oyome. I am one of the co-founders and CEO at Raenest. At Raenest, we help freelancers and businesses with their receivables and cross-border payments. We help freelancers to receive money from Upwork, even Andela as well. And we help businesses receive USD payments as well. Well, they're like the perfect alternative to likes of Brex, Mercury, who are not maybe built for Africa. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Why is this thing important? The African continent is actually currently experiencing a technological revolution. We see that there's going to be over 100 million young people joining the workforce. According to the IFC report, the tech sector is the one that's actually going to generate most of those jobs. So it was kind of a good question, how do we actually manage that? One of the key things I think people keep asking is what are the skills that are actually needed? We keep hearing future of work. We keep hearing tech is the future of work. But yeah, what are kind of some of the skills you're seeing that are important to have in the future? So maybe Paul.
Thank you. I don't think it's the future of work. I think it should be now. I don't know what you say future, what you mean. We're already in that future, actually. And we already know, there's a boom about AI. having AI engineers, having data scientists, those kind of things. But also on the flip side, if you think about, we are going to have a lot of tech that is going to allow us to do some of these things. So we are going to also have things that are not really tech. Think of things like soft skills, for example. You can have all the tech to allow you to be able to automate most of these processes, but you're going to have other skills that are going to set you aside, analytical skills. Are you able to solve like really complex problems that are going to have the tech available for you to do so? So for me, I think the skills that are required not only for the future of work, but the now is, apart from the tech skills, you also need like really soft skills, interpersonal skills, analytical thinking, creative thinking to allow us to be able to use and harness the tech that we have.
Yeah, Mike, Paul has talked about soft skills. Like, what kind of like soft skills are important you're seeing as you continue to train people in Andela?
Yeah, I think Paul already touched on it. So problem-solving skills, people who really have a growth mindset and continuous learning, because you have to be curious, you have to be someone who's constantly on the lookout. And you really have to be organized because, again, Andela, we are remote first. If you're someone who's disorganized in how you approach things, it's going to cost you. And on the technical side, one of the things Paul talked about is AI. Generative AI is something we've seen growing, LLM skills for the large language models, and all the other technical skills we've looked at in terms of application development, so DevOps and backend and cloud technical skills. All these things are in high demand, but it's really complemented by the professional skills and soft skills that are needed. Because if you don't have that, it's the glue that keeps it all together. So even for us with engineering teams, the really most pleasant clients, they come back to us and the feedback they give us is your engineers communicate really well. I know what to expect with them. So that's something that you always have to prioritize.
Well, that's interesting because if you have been in like a Kenyan local universities, we have done like those common units courses on like, oh, you need to learn on communication skills. But how do you actually train for that, the soft skills part? I think for me, that's really important.
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's the theory aspect that everyone talks about, but it really boils down to how you run your teams. So, and a lot of times we put it on the talent, but it's also the culture of the company. So as a company, you talk about being agile, you talk about all these different things, but are you actually implementing it? Are you doing it in such a way that if someone is in your organization, they can push back, they can communicate, and there will not be any blowback to that. So there's that aspect of it. But in terms of training, for example, with our Andela Technical Leadership Program, which we run in Rwanda, train about 100 people every year. We've now done 500 plus, with another 200 to be trained this year. What we do is we put them in teams, and from day one, they are working in teams. So they're not in a classroom and learning from PowerPoint presentations, but instead, you put people in a team, you tell them, okay, here are the tasks you're going to do. We are running a sprint, and on a daily basis, we'll do demos, we'll do all the different things that technical teams do, that developer teams do. You do that consistently for months. When those people work with a team, when those people work with, developing for Workpay or any other company, then they can communicate well. At the end of the day, it's the cadence. It's how they're communicating on Slack. It's how they're communicating on Zoom and Teams and all these other tools. That really translates. But a lot of it on the company side is the culture. Do you have a culture that allows people to really be able to learn and grow? And are you nurturing that and sticking to it?
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. When you look at like who needs to train, like Andela has been able to take up some of those things, but is it the work of the first employer to ensure that? And I don't know, Tyler, like if you look at your portfolio, companies that are hiring, is there anything you've noticed on how they hire or what they kind of look out for?
Is that for me?
Tyler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd say I'm loving the emphasis on soft skills here, guys. I didn't see this coming, but one that I want to add and that we really look out for is empathy. We take a human-centered design approach with our portfolio companies and with them building their products. And right, like ChatGPT, yes, it can write your paper. Yeah, there are oodles of tools out there that can help edit your code, but they don't necessarily know what the customer experience feels like or help you build great products or be a strong contributor in your teams. So at the last company I was at, we would actually organize in-field days for all of our product and engineering teams. All of our developers, QA analysts, product managers would get out in the field with customers. We were creating a solution for dukas, small shops, and they would see customers interact with the product. They would see the pain points they had, what was sticking, where there were opportunities. And not only was it a huge morale boost for our product teams to get out and about and from behind the screen, but it also had a really meaningful impact on usage and our customers and our company. And so I think having that empathetic approach, being able to come in and ask the right questions and understand the user experience is really valuable for a tech workforce in today's day and age too.
And I think it comes down to culture, right? So that's why you're taking them to the field to kind of like see, are they going to be a culture fit? Paul, coming back to you, how do you assess culture fit for your company?
I think it boils down to what culture means to you as an organization. So
I think it's off.
thank you. It boils down to what culture means to you as an organization. So there are the things that they're unspoken. No one tells you this is how you do it, but generally that's what you do as an organization. So for us, is the beliefs that we have as an organization. What you believe that you should be able to interact with your customer, interact with each other within the organization. How do you train your people? I think all that boils down and creates what a culture is. So, for example, in our case, what we do, like, regardless of what role you're joining in as an organization, you get a chance to meet the founders or the top leadership of an organization, and that is important, including interns, for example. And that is important because then they get to really understand firsthand in terms of what you're trying to build for, what are you trying to solve. They're not going to be hearing it from other people. And when they are, so for example, put into account of what is expected of them, it's something that they already internalize and what they have been able to do. And then the other one is just the small things, like, for example, if you have, like, for example, you're using Agile in terms of what you do, is that being followed to the letter? If you are using, like, are people communicating in a way that everybody is able to understand? At times you even, things like over-communicating, you rather give more information than just leaving people hanging. So I think it's it's not complex, I would say, but it's very, very company-centric in the way you build the culture. And that ends up becoming what your organization is. So when you have 5, 10 people, you're able to sit around a table and agree on things. But when you are 100 people, then the culture is the one that's able to push the organization, and things are, you're able to see, like, this is Workpay, this is Andela, and this is what they believe in, and this is what they do. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, thanks so much. Raenest, Paul and Mike have talked about how big the organization are, and like as you continue to grow, you need to make sure like the culture, what you actually bring when you are 10 people is the same as you continue to grow. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Raenest. How big is your team, and how do you ensure that the culture that maybe you started with is still the same culture that you're continuing?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So right now we're at 40-something in the team now, and the thing with the culture is it's not written down. Culture starts at the top. So what we've looked at internally is it starts with the people that we call leaders, right? So even if you have stuff written down and you communicate that every time, when there is need for you to say, for example, take ownership, which is one of our core values in company, and maybe I'm found wanting, for example, it has been defeated. So the way we've sort of maintained our culture when we were just 3 persons to now that we've expanded our operations is leaders still need to maintain and show what they are preaching to everyone. We need to show that, hey, see, even if it's sometimes it's inconvenient, sometimes you're tired, but then the last thing you want to show is you don't want to show lack of ownership, even if you're tired, because you know that it could be referenced. It could be, oh, so I mean, the CTO did this, I can do this. So I mean, the way to maintain or keep a culture is from the top. So when whatever fails or succeeds starts at the top.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point, and probably the culture actually needs to start from the top when continuing it, so that no matter who comes in and out, there's still the same culture. I know a couple of you guys have talked about AI, so we can't talk about workforce without AI and how it has actually impacted. I know at Job Tech we've been asked, like, where do you see AI impacting jobs in Africa? So I've used this forum to ask the esteemed panel, or like, where do you actually see impact of AI, and especially either to your work or also like within the ecosystem? So I guess we'll just start going like that.
Yeah, and AI, I think all of us agree, is probably the biggest change in tech that is happening in our lifetime, probably bigger than most of the changes we have seen. There are things that right now AI is not able to do, like, for example, design and or like doing very complex things, but it's just now. It's not able to do now. As we continue developing AI, I think things are going to really be interesting. Personally, I really love AI. But the thing is that AI is like a double-edged sword. It's really going to help us in terms of becoming more efficient. Like, you can have somebody who is very junior, but if they are using AI, they can really level up in terms of the kind of the work that they are doing using the tools that are out there with AI. So that's, in that essence, is going to really help us. Like, you can automate a lot of tasks, for example, that are going to be, that you can use via AI. On the flip side, you think about all those tasks that we are going to automate. Most of them are being done by human beings. There are even economies or countries that have really been built around their human capital. And so the question is, like, what is going to happen to such countries? So you think about, like, for example, Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia, like, there are all these BPOs. Probably, are we going to use AI in a way that is going to automate most of those tasks that people do? And if we do that, like, what is it going to do not only to those people, but to the economy? But also, if you think also on the flip side is that using AI, machine learning and even robotics, like, we are going to really see a lot of advancement, from the medical field, from manufacturing. It's not just tech as we know it, like software development and the like. It's like our day-to-day things that are done by even not really skilled people. We are going to even see that factory worker being impacted by advancement in this technology. So I think it's a really, really interesting piece of technology that we are seeing unravel before our eyes. And probably we have not, like, even internalized the impact that is going to have on us as human beings, both positive and negative. And I think personally, I'm really excited in the next couple of years on what we are going to see AI do.
I don't even think it's years. I think it's just months.
Probably.
Mike?
Yeah, true. It used to be 18 months, but now it's much shorter. It's definitely a few. Yeah, so I mean, how we're looking at it at Andela is that we're embracing it. And it's really, we even encourage our talents, our engineers, our community really to embrace it and be able to level up and be able to scale up. Because if you look at just and which is just one use case, right? Generative AI, what it has done, it has given people superpowers. And if you do not tap into that, you're going to be left behind. So we can either be on one edge where we're really afraid of it and we don't look at it, we don't use it, or we can be on the side where we are using it. Yes, I understand that, and I agree that we need to put guardrails in place to ensure that it's ethical, to ensure that there's no bias and all these things. but we have to leverage it. And if we leverage it, the opportunities are limitless. So we are really encouraging our people. Within our community, we make sure that people are leveling up so that they can be able to extend their skills. If you look at design and other things, when you combine an excellent designer and they start using AI, their productivity will shoot up. Same thing we've seen with developers and others. So just being able to do that. And we are now reaching a stage where even some of the companies that we work with, they'll come to us and they'll ask us to match them with AI talent. And we're able to do that. So really, to everyone here, I say, get your talent, technical or not, because it's not just limited to technical talents. Even if someone is in marketing, in HR, anything legal, they should be using AI and leveraging some form of copilot and really leveling themselves up. Because like Michelle said, in a few months, you're going to be obsolete because a task that takes you hours or days will take someone else a few minutes or hours to do. And we all have the knowledge. At the end of the day, we are the ones who empower it. So let's really move forward with this and embrace it. So yeah, biased about this.
Pro AI. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Mike, I love the energy and the embracing it. No, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think we're thinking about it kind of in two ways. The first, as you were referencing, is how do we make sure our portcos are leveraging the tools and resources they have to the best of their abilities to be the most efficient, effective in building their products and services. And so we have an advisor who is coming and helping advise our teams on how to leverage what's already here and at hand. And then the second piece of it is a little more future and forward looking. It's believing that we as organizations have the imperative, like Andela's doing, to upskill your teams to have these tools and resources and be trained in how to use them. And we also have a really strong partnership with the African Leadership Group that now has a very large LMM AI. How many alliterations can we have? Department, and are building up those teams. And the more we can facilitate those relationships and partnerships and make sure that there are the resources out there to help upskill folks, the better off we'll all be.
Okay, so we're big AI users in our company, right? I mean, I wrote 10 articles in 1 hour with AI. I've written a bunch of proposals. Someone dropped on a WhatsApp group and says, I need a template for ESOP, and I need this clause there as well. I just took that text to ChatGPT and then I sent it to the guy, and the guy maybe if he sees me today would probably prostrate. But big stuff. AI is key. It's a key component in the way we work at Raenest today. Even engineers use it. I tell my customer support guys to use it as well. We can sound better to customers. You can tell, hey, help me tweak this to be more personal, to be much more friendly, for example. So yeah, I think that AI is shaping the way we work, and I think that it will continue to shape the way everyone works. Paul had mentioned, if you do not add AI to your workflow, you'd suffer. If I can compose 10 articles in 1 hour, if I am hiring you as content marketing person, and then I ask you to prepare some articles for me, and then you spend maybe a month to prepare that, I would think, okay, should I hire you or not, right? So I think that AI is enhancing. I don't think it's going to get rid of the jobs, because again, you still need human beings to actually impute those prompts, right? Obviously, we know that at some point we would have AIs doing stuff on their own, robotics and stuff. But yeah, it's a big component into today's workflow, and if you're not adding it into the way you work, you'd phase out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as our portfolio, as we look at this like Job Tech Alliance, we're actually seeing some of our portfolio companies, especially in the hiring phase, using AI for screening as a potential one. So instead of a HR manager being able to talk to or go through thousands of CVs, like AI machine does that, shortlist it. But there's a question on biasness, right? So there are two things that when people think about AI, it's like biasness of these things, especially for African content. And then secondly is how good is it? I know right now it might not be 100%, it might get better, but I always put a disclaimer, like even if you use AI, please still read your email, confirm that it's actually writing the right things. But maybe like with your team, have you had any experiences of where context maybe was different from what you're actually seeing by using AI?
Yeah, 100%. As much as we have really made progress, should also always understand that we are still early. That's relative, saying that we are early, and they're saying that AI is not necessarily going to take us out of jobs, but it's going to take out of jobs people who are not going to adapt and start using AI. So even as we use it right now, probably around tasks like writing articles, responding to emails, creating proposals, I think at the end of the day, you still have to have a human being going through that. Probably that will continue improving. The hallucinations will continue reducing as we continue seeing improvements on this. But I think for now, you definitely have to have somebody who is checking on that. But it also depends on the complexity of the task of what you want the AI to do for you. So some things could do like a really great job without having to proofread it. But some of them you really have to have somebody that is checking that.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very good question. And like I said before, a lot of us are focused on just one use case, ChatGPT, getting prompts and all that. But there are so many, and we need to expand and actually realize that we can use that. So one use case I can give for us at Andela is we have our platform, we call it a talent cloud, because we really wanted to build a platform that is elastic, that is resilient, that allows us to tap into the talent that is available globally. And one of the ways we've used it is that, like I said, hundreds of thousands of engineers on the platform, a company reaches out and they share job descriptions, you need to be able to get through that quickly. So AI is the first line for filtering and being able to figure out. And we've been able to reduce that. It's not just AI. We don't just rely on AI. We have humans, matchers who are looking at the platforms because we understand the limitations. But we've managed to bring it down from a process that used to take up to 2 weeks for us, even though we're among the fastest, but now to 48 hours, where a company can reach out to us and we can be able to get solid profiles in front of them for 48 hours. And the biggest challenge if you're a hiring manager here, you put something on LinkedIn, you put a job ad on LinkedIn and you get 500 applications. How do you get through that? It's different when you get 10 solid profiles or 5 profiles to look at, because that is much faster, you can make a decision. So, and it's something we've been able to achieve by combining AI and humans. So, and I think that's how we should be looking at it. Whether it's, marketing and looking at ChatGPT prompts and everything, yes, look at it, but proofread it to make sure the context is right, to make sure that it's the nuances, the local context of who you're writing for and your audience really matches what you're looking for.
Great, thanks. So I'll move to the next question. Tyler, don't worry. I think for a lot of people, the question is like, we're continuing to do trainings. Are we doing the right training? Are we able to actually generate demand for all these jobs in African content? Tyler, I know you guys are demand piece. So maybe just tell us a little bit about how you get more demand for people so that we can bring people from Andela to you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we have also, a core part of our value addition to our portfolio is we have an in-house talent team, and we help them hire and find roles. And so we've built what we call a rockstar radar, a database of folks. So everyone, welcome to join it if you're looking for anything. And so we are always looking on the lookout for fantastic talent and matching them with the right places, both for our portfolio companies and the broader ecosystem. That happens both through partnerships. We really believe it's an ecosystem approach. I know I'd referenced the African Leadership Group earlier, but we've hired quite a bit from them, and then also placed some of their folks at our portfolio companies. And I think one thing, it's really challenging for early stage startups especially, and I know this is where you guys play a huge role, to find the right talent within their networks. So how do we broaden the reach for folks and be an aggregator of talent for these startups to help them get the right people at the right time with the right skill set? And we try to help bridge that gap. And one other way we do that is, we've talked a lot about AI, but also the importance of human touch. And I really believe also the importance of bringing people together, just like we are here today, right? Like, relationships are built on trust, and trust is built on time spent together and getting to know one another. So how can we also facilitate those connections and relationships between the ecosystem with talent and entrepreneurs who are seeking top hires and investors, right? All of this really comes together, but through that ecosystem approach, through bringing everyone together, and then aggregating and helping folks find the right places.
Great, and I guess maybe kind of similar question to Mike when you're thinking about Andela. It's always like looking for like what are the skills needed in the market for you to be able to do that. So maybe tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about how you ensure you are always ahead of the game, making sure you're bringing the talent that people need.
Yeah, so first thing for that is feedback from our clients. So always listening to them and understanding what their needs are, and helping them formulate their talent strategies. Like if you're hiring, understanding your growth plans, your product roadmap, and figuring out what it looks like. And sometimes it's non-technical roles. So like what you was talking about, understanding what are some of the other roles which are needed. So really feedback from our clients is, I would say, is a strong player for that, because that sort of like shapes even, we can get a sense of, okay, what does the next 6, 12 months look like? The other is really looking at the industry trends. Like you were saying, coming back to AI, if you put your head in the sand and avoid it, there's no way around it. So getting that, understanding that, and then looking at, I would say really those are the two. We are also working on partnerships with different players who are in this space. So on the education side, but also other organizations that are in the skills development. And when we see what is needed, we see how we can support, but we always tie it to the jobs that are available. Because we don't believe in just doing it because it's a keyword, just because everyone is talking crypto or this, and you do a training in that, but it's figuring out how many jobs are available, what's the demand, and then we try and meet that demand, because then that is valuable.
Great. Raenest, I think Raenest plays an important role, especially when you think about employment cross borders. You help facilitate things like payments and everything. So I'd like to actually talk to you like an ecosystem player. How have you been able, as a company, to, why did you think about this? Because it's really important, and how actually managing cross-border payments so that I, sitting here, can be able to pay someone in Nigeria.
Sorry, I need you to sort of help me rephrase that question a bit. Just to understand how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, no. So it's like payments is a big thing when you're thinking about employment, especially cross-border. So tell us like a little bit of how Raenest does that.
Okay. So, I mean, different companies today are expanding within Africa, outside Africa. And that expansion would need some resources. That expansion would need you to set up teams in different places, right? It will need you to move monies from, say, from your HQ or from the bank, from US Bank, maybe if you raise some funds. The importance of finance when it comes to expansion within Africa is very, very key. I know a business today that expanded into the UK, African business, but then has been struggling with receiving funds from customers. Customers actually want to pay, but there are no, solid players that can help her in the UK as an African business to receive payments. So what we're doing at Raenest is we're helping African businesses with their receivables, because we do know that foreign players have not prioritized Africa. There's a reason why PayPal is not in Africa, for example. They might be PayPal is everywhere, right? But then they do not even allow you to receive in, for example, Nigeria. The risks with Africa is huge, no doubt about that. So I wouldn't blame foreign players not even coming here. If you know what we're seeing from fraud perspective, you'd not want to come. You guys were talking about how AI is also helping, and we also have AI also in the way we handle fraud as well. We know that there are some keywords that we need AI to help us. Oh, okay, so if this is recurring, then there's something happening there, right? So how we've gone to the US to sort of secure like a proper partnership that can service African businesses. The last thing you want is to be shut down by your foreign bank account or foreign partner in the middle of operations. We've seen that happen many times. I mean, if you go to Twitter and just search for, I wouldn't mention names, bunch of businesses have been shut down just because they are using Paul, I think that you guys had the same issue one time. Shut down just because they're using a particular service, and then maybe they found out that, hey, this guy's African, let's shut him out. But we've done some serious work. We have a sponsor bank in the US, for example, that helps businesses like yourself interact with the global economy easily without the fear of being shut down in the middle of your operations. We see that we want to be at the forefront of commerce in Africa, and if you have fear at the back of your mind when you're operating, you'd not kill. You before you go into the UK, for example, how do I want to receive payment there? Who will support me? So Raenest is helping businesses in Africa pull that stuff off.
That's so cool, and it's needed in Africa.
Sure.
So I'd like to open it up for questions. Great, thanks. Mike? Oh, Mike, and then Mike. Oh my God. Open your mic. Okay, please go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Please, so you can introduce yourself first and then the question.
I should probably stand.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Libertine Makinda from South Africa with Nedbank. My question is about the barriers of entry into the job market and the role of traditional higher learning institutions versus self-taught, especially in tech, and how these barriers are being overcome in your field.
Okay, so yeah, question on barriers of entry for talent.
So the sound is not great on this side. Barriers of entry for talent?
First job, yeah. So what are some of the barriers you see?
So what I would say is, at least what we've seen on our part, and even this morning, I don't know if she's in the room, I don't want to put on the spot one of our amazing talents. When she joined in 2017, she was in her first year of university, joined Andela, started doing amazing work after doing the program, and she was telling me how last year or 2 years ago, she finished her degree. She completed a degree, I believe at Strathmore University. So just to say, getting into tech, at least in tech with technical skills, you absolutely do not need to have a degree. There are some areas where you'll need it. For example, if you're trying to be a data engineer or machine learning engineer, sometimes you may need a PhD. But there are roles where you don't need to have that. You just need to have a portfolio and show that you have the technical skills to be able to do that job. So I'm not saying that it should be absolutely degree related, but that tech is an equalizer. AI is an equalizer, depending with how you look at it. So if you have, and we've all talked about the critical skills, the soft skills and the technical skills. If you combine those two and you have a portfolio, you can get into tech You get in at the entry level, and then you'll grow as time goes by. I'll leave it up for anyone else who would like to add on.
I'll actually like to add on that. I think one of the key barriers we see in terms of workforce, entry to workforce is information. And what the guys are not saying, like, they're actually creating communities, right? And you said Andela has 4 million, Atala, you actually have a big community. Is how do we get in a place where you are able to know who is hiring and what are the skill sets? So most of the time it's like, as young people, just generally like, where do you get information? So going to such events, going to meetups, I know like iHub here does a lot of things, and joining those communities, then you're able to kind of create it and talk to as many tech companies as possible. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah, please. On this other side, it's coming.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much. So
hi, question here. Thanks for a great panel so far. I wanted to ask about electric penetration when it comes to vehicles outside of two-wheelers and buses. I think in Kenya specifically, we've seen most of the electrification come from two-wheelers and buses. But when it comes to four-wheeled vehicles and cars and things like that, will it be more market-driven, or like last week, Ethiopia announced that they're going to be banning internal combustion engine vehicles? Is it going to be more?
We can talk about it. Sorry, that was not us.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
I don't know anything about two-wheelers, so.
Okay. Sorry for that confusion. So my name is Thomas Ayuaki. I work for an ICT for Development organization that focuses on women and youth empowerment through digital skills. And so my question is really around the theme of the day. You talked of growth of the workspace in Africa. And so what I wanted to ask the panelists here, you've talked a lot about the importance of soft skills, customer interfacing, and all of that. Being in this space for a long time, I think we can all agree that, just to go by the moderator's point, that the issue is that this information is not getting to the ground. It's not getting to people in the different, different counties, for example, here in Kenya. So I don't know from your point of view, is there an effort that you're making on your end to try and engage with different stakeholders or partner with people within very specific spaces like national government, maybe through the Ministry of Education and ICT, just to plant these seeds around maybe some of the skills, technical and soft skill combinations that you are looking for as companies, because I think that can be very important in terms of just in your own small way educating these learning institutions on specifically what they can be able to do to ensure that they're producing high-performing women and youth in the workforce.
You want?
Wow. Yeah, Paul just threw me under the bus. So I'll give a case study for what we're doing in Rwanda, which I believe is applicable here. And briefly about some of the work we've also done here through our Andela learning community. So specifically in Rwanda, like I said, we do an accelerator program every year. And when we do 4 cohorts every year to targeting the hundreds of people to apply. And how we go about that is that we reach out to all the universities. We'll encourage them. Something Tyler talked about in terms of the communities that we create, really reaching them where they are. So going to the universities, doing outreach sessions to let people know. And when we go to them, we've changed our messaging not to say, come and get trained, to highlighting the jobs that are available, so that people can connect to that. Because that's something that resonates. Someone wants to change their lives, they want to help their family. If they know they'll be able to get a job and support themselves, they'll stick to that. With our Andela learning community, since 2017, we've trained more than 150,000 people. And what we do again, and in Kenya, there are various programs that happen on an annual basis. Nigeria, Rwanda, different parts of Africa. We call for applications. We'll do it in partnership. We've done it in partnership with Google, Meta, Microsoft, and many other tech companies. Again, it's highlighting the jobs that are available and then making it open to the people. However, when you do that, you still need the people to be able, meaning the students, our community, to be able to engage with the content, to be able to learn, to be able to grow. Now, on the side of the government and other communities, and I think that's where your organization comes in, there's a need for the infrastructure that is needed for that. People will still need the internet, they'll still need devices. So it's a joint effort. It's not just the employers who need to do that. I believe it's really the whole community. It takes a village. We all talk about that. So I think everyone needs to do their part so that we can meet this demand.
I'll help you guys. I think the whole workforce thing is like a demand and supply issue, as Mike has mentioned, right? If the tech companies have demand, they also need to have like, who are the right people to get into it? And what are the needs of that? And I think having honest conversations and continuing to actually have those conversations actually helps. Having this forum saying, this is what I need. I'm looking for, let's say, a marketer with X and Y like things. Like that's important because then you start seeing what are the needs are. Is that thing that we need to do help with the universities? Definitely. I think there needs to be more collaboration with universities, like what our needs are. I know, like in Kenya, there has been like a reform of TVETs, and I'm really excited about that because they're now looking at talking to the industry players and saying, what do you need to be able to actually to train for that? So I hope it actually will be more impactful later on, but at least I'm happy to see like that conversation has started to have, yeah. Any last question? Guess not, okay. So last question for us, like closing remarks. I'll start from like the farthest coming this. Yeah, closing remarks as we finish this session.
Closing remarks. Okay. So, I mean, in closing, I'd encourage everyone in this room to sort of take up AI to improve the way they work. To be honest, I didn't prepare for this closing remark, but but yeah, I mean, let's add AI to our workflow. I mean, that's made me look brilliant, and I don't think I'm that brilliant. Yeah, but then let's encourage our work teams, people are working with us to use AI as well to be successful in their workplace. I wanted to add something, but then it was not that I wanted to respond to your question, but I didn't know how to come at it because we're not doing anything with the universities or government. But the way we are putting our information to help the community is we have 300 plus users, 300K users that have used our product. And what we've learned from those guys, we do like a report that helps the larger community to learn. So, for example, we know like the high-paying jobs. For example, we know where women have seen more success with freelancing gigs. For example, virtual assistants, right? So we've taken those reports. We know the countries that are hiring more Africans than other. So we did like a top 5 country that hire Africans overseas. So we've taken those reports and we came with like a proper report that helps the community to sort of know the skills that they are learning. Okay, and also know how to charge. So we also have so that's how we're sort of helping the community with information. Maybe not working with the government or, but then we just use the information at our disposal to sort of help people around the community as well. Yeah, thank you.
That data is so powerful, and particularly the impact it can have on women and gender and job search from that perspective. That's super cool. I'm excited to look more into it. I think just for me, like the name Delta 40 in part comes from the fact that by 2100, 40% of the global population will be on the continent. And what's most exciting about that for me is that that means that 40% of the global workforce and talent will be here. So, we need more folks like Mike. We need more Andelas. We need more of you. Sorry. Training folks, doing public-private engagement, building these bridges in these communities to both upskill and then help that degree of talent find the roles in the global workforce. So thank you guys all. I'm excited for what's ahead.
Yeah, like I said before, we exist to connect brilliance with opportunity. So what I'd say is on the side of the talents, leverage what is available to you. One, we've talked about AI, other things, soft skills and whatnot, but also the fact that you can work remotely. The fact that you can be in Kenya or Nigeria or Rwanda or anywhere and be able to access these amazing opportunities that are global. On the part of the companies, I really want to say, trust and give a chance to people on the continent. It's as simple as that. We're not asking for any favors, but all the companies we've worked with, when they're able to work with our talent, and not just Andelans, but really when you're able to build a diverse team, you see the value in that. So allow people to come in and actually show you what they're capable of. A lot of times, after a few months, you realize that they're even better than some of the talent you already had. Yeah, I'm biased like that.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll just talk about two things I'm really excited about. So one of them is AI, of course. I think it has the potential of really leveling the field for us as a continent, and I'm really excited about that. The second one, in danger of sounding like our president for Kenyans in the room, I think we really have a very big opportunity as a continent. And that's what Taylor is saying, that there's a supply and demand issue that is really happening, and we need to really be awake to that. So the global north needs people to work for them. Here we have a lot of people, but we don't have the jobs for them. And as Mike is saying, we have the skills. They're not asking for favors. We can actually do the job. So, and I really hope, number one, as a continent, we have put ourselves out there and be able to, get those opportunities, and also the people who in the global north, they're able to actually give us the opportunities to do, and we're actually able to probably do a much better job and probably at a fraction of what it would cost you to be able to do them in those countries. So super excited about those two things.
Great. Thank you so much. I think in conclusion, you were saying there's great talent in Africa. There's great opportunity in the global north. Let's make it happen. So thank you so much, my panelists. Let's give them a clap. Yeah. I guess, yeah.